to back, Luigi.
To back.
Try Paul back. Do you think Biden?
They are back. Do I think Biden?
Do you think Biden has it in him for a triple run? he's
For
going
sure.
to,
I mean,
we've got change the constitution now, Luigi.
we've got 5 terms until we're at 100. We need new people. Find new people.
Are you ready for the podcast, Luigi?
Let's do this.
Have you
I'm
seen
ready.
this? I thought let's start with something incredibly cretinous and idiotic. Have you seen
Nice.
this?
Wow.
It's a
No, I
beautiful
haven't.
news. I'm gonna
Go.
juxtapose it with a
She's a
democratic
psyop.
one. She's a
She's a
psyop.
psyop.
She
Wow.
is the Swifties are a psyop army, Luigi.
They pulled a Swift on us.
They played us like a motherfucking flute. Conspiracy theory. Have you said far-right influencers?
So what's the conspiracy theory? Taylor Swift is a
I was
Pentagon
going.
asset.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
An election interference psyop who, with unnamed left-leaning forces, has unnamed. They're not being named. Not yet. We're gonna find out, folks, soon.
Left-leaning forces.
They're not even left, guys. They're not even. They're leaning. They're, on a good day.
The communists.
No, they're not communists, Luigi. They're left-leaning.
Left-leaning. Okay.
They're like leaps. They're leaps, basically. They're progressive leaps, let's call them, have conspired to rig the Super Bowl. You know what the Super Bowl is, right? I think I elaborated on it before as well. They fill a huge bowl with chicken nuggets, and whoever eats the most wins. I think that's the Super Bowl. And it's a major.
It's the biggest
States.
National celebration in the US, arguably.
Yes. And then so they're gonna rig the Super Bowl. Apparently, she has a relationship with one of the players. Maybe you know more about this, Luigi, of the Kansas City Chiefs. Which I love that. I love that they sound Indian American as well. I love that. I love that thing. I say you wipe them out and then you call yourselves after them. I love that. It's the circle of life. But
we respect them. We respect all Americans.
And apparently they're gonna rig the Super Bowl is the conspiracy theory, and then they're gonna endorse Biden. Basically, it's like you realize it's a conspiracy theory because none of it makes sense. None of the parts.
How do you rig the Super Bowl?
They're gonna rig it. But the funniest thing is that apparently, I don't know if the conspiracy theory goes that far, but is Biden responsible for her popularity as well? It is just go that did he make Taylor Swift? Then they make her have a relationship with this guy, and then they rig the Super Bowl. Then she endorses Biden, and it works like a dream, baby. It's just vive,
dude. It was a psyop, dude.
Dude, we have the legendary Pastrami, the most famous
failed Republican candidate. I like it. I like that description.
I like it as well. Good description, The Guardian. The greatest of all pastramis and keen spreader of misinformation. I love that as well. Has added his thoughts. I wonder who's going to win the Super Bowl next month. And I wonder if there's a major presidential endorsement coming from an artificially, culturally propped up couple. Jesus fucking Christ, what a sentence. This fall.
What the fuck does that even mean?
It means
it's just words strung together.
And for any liberal that wants to feel high and mighty about this, just a few days ago, I don't know if you've seen this, Luigi, fucking Pelosi, now I don't know what a senior elder of the Democratic Party was on the fucking TV telling people that Putin is behind the fucking pro-Palestinian demonstrations. And I was like, mind blown.
Is Pelosi still in Congress?
No, I don't think so. No,
but
she would be actually. She may be, Luigi. Let me check.
Does she get security briefings? That's my question.
Come on, dude. You're not gonna justify that she actually got a briefing about this.
No, I mean, if she's actually getting intelligence briefings, we
They're
don't.
Putin's bodies. Fellow, yeah, she does. She does currently actually represent her district still,
Okay,
but
still.
she's not the House Speaker anymore, obviously. The Republicans are in charge, barely, I think, by three seats or something. It's that close at this point. I mean, the fucking Pope has been calling for a ceasefire. The Pope, Luigi. Il Supremo, El Papa I mean, Jack,
El Saprimo Pontifico.
are you a Catholic dude or are you not I'm a Catholic? Is the Pope a fucking agent of Mr. Putin? I doubt it. I doubt it. But she came out with that. But I mean, Luigi, even if tangentially a few bucks were, a few fucking, what is it, rubles were fucking spent on that, it doesn't mean it. You shouldn't come out with it. I mean, we're talking about, I think, like more than 50, 60% of the fucking Democratic voters, her fucking voting base believes that a ceasefire should be enacted. We'll get to that, by the way. Her coming out with that fucking ridiculous fucking statement that the FBI should fucking start investigating pro-ceasefire demonstrators. It's fucking insane, dude.
I mean,
It's a similar level of insanity as this beauty
yeah,
right here.
it's a beauty. So Taylor Swift, psyop question mark.
I'm gonna say 100%, 100%. I mean, as the great, I don't know if you know him, Jesse Waters from the great Fox News, the great channel that is Fox News, the Fox News,
The
asked
temple of news.
the temple of news, as the great Waters asked, have you ever wondered why or how she blew up like this? Wow. This is the kind of reporting, Luigi, that fucking shatters the fucking battleground of ideas, Luigi. Earth-shattering stuff. Wow.
Earth-shattering
Wow.
stuff.
The Fox
Wow.
continues to deliver, I believe.
As always, a source of quality news. But yeah,
Even calling
tested.
in news people is a great service to humanity.
That's a joke. So
Fair
what
and motherfucking balance. Sorry, Luigi.
exactly? I mean,
Exactly.
representative of what is accurate.
Justice, really.
Definitely not propaganda. All right. So from Taylor Swift being a Pentagon asset to
Should we move to something serious then? By the way, we
sure.
didn't do an intro, but we don't need an intro, people. Jesus
We
Christ.
don't need intros.
We're,
Welcome, everybody.
we're family people. We don't need an intro. Let's just get to it. Okay, let's get to the important stuff, for God's sake. So, I mean, serious stuff. The UN court, the International Court of Justice, has made a decision. Would you say sooner than you expected? It was pretty soon, right?
Yeah, it was pretty soon. But so hold on. They've made a decision about examining the case.
They made a decision basically that there is merit. What the decision
Yeah.
is that they've granted the provisional merit to South Africa's case,
Mhm.
saying that yes, there are potentially acts of genocide occurring. Now, an addendum to us that they didn't order a ceasefire. That was one of South
Yeah.
Africa's requests. They've ordered the rest of it, as far as I can tell, which basically, the UN, let me just read it out. The UN's International Court of Justice has ordered Israel to ensure its forces do not commit acts of genocide against Palestinians in Gaza in a historic decision. Then they said that the president of the court, Joan Donahue, said Israel must take all measures within its power to prevent acts that fall within the scope of the Genocide Convention and must ensure with immediate effect that its forces do not commit any of the acts covered by the convention. And obviously, because this is a provisional one, the reason this is historic is that basically the International Court of Justice has accepted that there is merit to South Africa's case, and so the case will proceed to trial. And we will be, I mean, the ensuing year, I don't know how long it's going to take. It may take more than a year, but there's going to be a trial whether what us Israel has perpetrated was
Qualifies
genocide.
as genocide. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The very fact that the court decided to go through with the trial
They
means
could
that
have
there
dismissed.
is,
Yeah,
yeah,
sorry, Luigi.
there is some merit in the argument, basically. So that sort of shows which way the wind is blowing, George. And it's interesting. This decision was, I think, 15 against 2 in the Supreme Court, and
Yes, I've
I'm
got it,
trying to,
Luigi.
yeah.
The six provisional measures were approved by a wide majority of the judges, two of them by 16 to 1, and 4 of them by 15-2, which was, I mean, resounding majority of the judges. They did not order a ceasefire, Luigi. What are your thoughts about that?
I don't think they can. I mean, can they order a ceasefire without having made a, I don't know, man. Can a UN
I've read,
court, can judges order a state to do a ceasefire? I mean, it's weird. It's
uh,
international law, yeah.
yeah,
But
I've read, I mean, yeah, sorry, Luigi, go on.
what if you order them to have a ceasefire and they don't do it? Suddenly, you've damaged the institution in ways that that we haven't seen before.
I mean,
And
they did
so,
order Russia to have a ceasefire, which they did not abide by.
yeah,
But
exactly.
it was different though. It was a different sort of case because both were signatories. Obviously, Hamas is one signatory. Hamas is one country, and both were signatories, Russia and Ukraine. And the allegations were that Russia actually alleged that they were the Nazis, so Ukraine sort of took them to the ICJ for that. While they were being invaded, but it was a different sort of context, as far as I've heard. So I mean, the president.
The Russians are like, I'll sue you. I sue you too.
The Ukrainians sued
In
them.
Soviet Russia, government take you to international court.
I think they were
Sorry,
sued
sorry,
by
sorry.
the Ukrainians, yeah, because it was like these guys are alleging we're Nazis, but they're invading us. We're not Nazis. It's a different sort of context than this. And according to President, it wasn't likely that they were going to order a ceasefire. But I mean, beyond that, what they have ordered is very substantial and historic. I mean, to be honest. Beyond the other things, they must take measures within its power to prevent to prevent and punish the direct and public incitement to commit genocide in relation to the members of the Palestinian groups in the Gaza Strip. The court further considers that Israel must take immediate and effective measures to enable the provision of urgently needed basic services, humanitarian assistance, to address the adverse conditions of life. Responses to this, I mean, Bibi tried to fucking spin it. Others were a bit more open about it. Ben Gvir, who featured in one of the
Mhm.
quotes, he wrote Haig Schmeig. He dissed on the Haig,
Wow.
Luigi.
Look,
I'm impressed by the decisions and well done to the judges. Would I have wanted a ceasefire? Yes, I would have also wanted a ceasefire. But
the thing,
even without the ceasefire, this is a historic decision.
it's a bit weird because the ICJ can say, please make sure you prevent genocide, and Israel can just turn around and say, I'm not doing genocide,
It seems
right?
that keep doing it though. I mean, it seems that nothing has actually changed in the few days since the court has ruled in favor. Since they delivered the interim judgment. It's still, I mean, we're talking about marginal change. When more than 1% of the population has been killed,
Yeah.
I don't know how much hope it gives you that maybe in a year they rule that it's actually genocide. The people are still dead, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's still,
It's
still,
tragic, and nobody has the power to prevent it, unfortunately. Um,
whoever has the power doesn't want, obviously.
that is, yeah, another way of putting it.
Uh,
Uh,
but I still think, I mean, historic that the interim judgment was made. And I mean,
good.
suddenly now, yeah, people can allege these things, people can make arguments for them. And I think the EU responded that Israel should behave within the convention.
Wow, a strongly worded letter of disapproval,
Yeah,
of diplomacy, excuse me.
humanity saved.
Yeah. All right.
Anything
Should
else
we?
you wanna
Uh,
say?
let's move forward. I'm
Well,
sure we're going to discuss it in the following weeks as well. So, from The Hague to the wannabe fascists, far-right
the
populists, excuse me,
alternatives.
alternate.
Alternatives fair Deutschland. It is a beautiful party. And they lost the election, Luigi. We covered it last episode, I think. After the mass deportation revelations, you've heard about the solutions, the
Yeah.
penultimate solutions, whatever.
Deporting German passport holders. Who came up with that?
Foreigners, yeah, but it wasn't just foreigners. Let me just find it. Who came up with that? A bunch of fascists, Luigi. Who came up with that? One of them was Martin Sellner, leader of the Austrian far-right extremist identitarian movement, who expounded on his philosophy of remigration or mass
Wow.
displacement and the feasibility of implementing it. Excellent.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's what I was looking for. Unassimilated citizens from Germany. Those they wanna. I imagine some of them have.
Unassimilated.
Let me take a guess. Turkish roots, maybe some of them. Unassimilated ones, Luigi. They wanna expel them. They wanna expel them. These great people.
What does an assimilated society
Exactly.
mean? Like who
It's a
decides
very
how
flexible.
assimilated I am
Yeah,
to
yeah.
society?
It's a beautiful, very far right word. You have to, but I mean, in a positive note after this, what we've discussed and what has surfaced with the revelations, they narrowly lost their first election test. And I mean, he won the Christian Democrat, who was Merkel's party, which has become more right wing after Merkel stopped being in charge of it. He won by 4.6 percentage points. And let me just say, 2 weeks ago, the alternative guy had 45.7% to the center-right guy's 33. So I mean, you see,
Wow.
there's been a turn. There's been movement.
A lot of undecided voters basically went against the far right, which makes
Yes.
sense.
And it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see, as we've discussed extensively, I would say at this point. Germany has been through more economic hardship than most this past year. I'm talking about the past year now, I'm not talking about. Obviously, a lot of European countries have been through harsher times for longer periods, but I think Germany experienced the biggest economic shock after the Ukrainian invasion.
The German business model was
Collapsed.
broken.
Yeah,
Yeah, because the German business model was I'm gonna get cheap power from Russia. I'm gonna
yeah.
use that to have a nice sort of manufacturing sector where I build and export stuff. Well, suddenly the stuff they export that they're famous for their cars. You've got electric cars coming in. They haven't really kept up in that electric sort of race.
They've allowed
And
fucking Elon to become the
yeah.
richest man on earth, basically.
Yeah, and so what I'm getting to is like the war in Ukraine has really, even though gas prices have fallen, the fact that Germany right now has to get its gas all the way from the US in liquefied form, like
It
it has to
increases
travel
costs,
an ocean.
obviously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Obviously. Yeah, I mean,
Than
the
getting it.
pipeline is
Yeah,
is is a whole different fucking field
exactly.
in
So
terms of costs, obviously.
it's been much costlier for the German business model, and they're trying to reinvent themselves, I guess. I've got some numbers here. The German economy shrank last year quite substantially, like half a percentage point or something. But it's basically the only European economy that's in a proper recession, has been contracting for 4 consecutive
It's the
quarters.
worst out of all of them, yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, it might be the richest country, but when you're sort of losing momentum in a
When
sense,
you're losing ground, it doesn't matter. I mean, it
yeah,
should, but unfortunately, it often doesn't what your actual starting point was.
yeah. So the problem that the Germans have is that normally you'll deal with this kind of stuff by putting money in the economy, like spending a lot of money at the government level. However, they've got those leftovers from the Euro crisis, those Schäuble era, we must not spend deficit money
It's
kind
it's
of
ridiculous. It's
rules.
stupid. When Germany most prospered after the Second World War, when they rebuilt Germany and when they created its industry, these were not the rules they were following. Far from it.
Course, man. I mean, you spend money to grow the economy, you invest in stuff.
And you
The
spend
fact
it
that
wisely,
the
obviously. We're not
fact
just
the
saying.
fact the fact that they've enshrined this in the constitution, saying that you can't run deficits when clearly, like the modern model of an economy is you have to run a deficit as a government as long as it's approximately
Since
equal to the growth rate of the country, the debt
since
doesn't
yeah,
really grow.
since all of them are running it anyway, and most of them, their debts are growing with fucking unbelievable amounts. I mean, last time Trump was in charge, he doubled it or something.
Yeah. the Germans need to change their constitution though to start spending money, and it's not going to happen with a parliament as fractured as this, and the alternatives being so popular. So
Forget about it. Should we move
forget
on?
about yeah. Let's keep moving.
Let's keep moving. Tell me, Luigi, what do you feel about this? They're fake. Nobody died. It's
No,
CGI. I'm CGI right now. Yeah, go on. Sorry, Luigi.
Jokes aside, this was a tragic event. I mean, the point being, you can take over sort of what happened, who was behind the attack.
Iranian proxies is what
Yeah,
is what they're giving us. Was
yeah,
on the
that's
border between Jordan and Iraq, or was it Syria? Syria, right? Yeah, Jordan, it was all three of them actually. It was a triumvirate of borders, Luigi, by the Iranian-backed umbrella group Islamic Resistance, and the U.S. immediately blamed Iran.
so.
Biden has vowed a response.
Yeah,
He said the US would hold all those responsible to account at the time of US choosing.
he came out today to say like we've made up our mind about how we'll respond, but he didn't go into details.
Yes. And Iran says we're not seeking war, but we're not afraid of it. So, I mean, they're all trying to downplay it, but it seems they're all escalating into war.
Yeah. I mean, it's escalating, and it's certainly funny because like all of the neocons are out, like
Oh,
basically calling
yeah.
for war with
We'll
Iran
watch the
at this point.
videos. I'm imagining Lindsey
Yeah,
fucking Graham, of course, probably fucking
Lindsay,
wet his fucking panties on
Lindsay,
live
what
television.
Lindsey Graham has been
Yeah.
the cheerleader for going to war with Iran
Kill
for
them,
years now.
kill them.
Immediately, like he was on Twitter, like we have to bomb, I don't know, Iran or
What do you
Tehran. Like
feel about this, by the way? This has been going on, as you said, I mean, the Lindsay has been doing it for decades now, right? Bolton, all of these dickheads. What do you
yeah,
think
yeah.
about this performance? Isn't it disgusting? I mean, I don't know. I mean, to be fair with you, yeah, I mean, everybody sort of knows that even if fucking Lindsay was the president, he wouldn't actually just fucking nuke Iran. So I don't really understand what this is about. It's just so disgusting watching them do the whole thing. The
It's neocons.
performance,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Neocons being like, we have to take control. Eh.
Nuke them, yeah, nuke yourself, fucking idiot. Be serious, fuck's sake.
We're gonna cover it later on, but yeah, I've got a really funny video with Bolton,
The great one.
basically, yeah, foreshadowing.
How got
So
anything else?
yeah, it's an explosive situation, and I don't know if we're in this sort of tit for tat kind of thing.
Do you think that's going to be
Uh,
total war, Luigi? Will
I
Jack hit them
doubt
in Tehran? Will he hit them where it hurts? Will he nuke the Ayatollah? Is he going to go that far?
I mean, I saw an interview of his today saying that look, he's not looking to escalate the situation in the Middle East, something like that.
Yeah, they're both saying that. Yeah,
We,
I mean,
we don't want a broader war in the Middle East, is what he said. So as
you
long as Biden is there, I think we're good.
you
Notice how
kill.
I did that?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
he's not
But I
gonna be
mean,
there next year.
we'll see. We'll see. Let's not go that far because I mean, who knows these days? Next year, what's happening? It's gonna be back to back, baby. It's gonna be back to back. Everybody knows it. I know it, Jack.
I'm coming back. It's happening.
Have we have any news with Donnie? Do we have any?
Yeah, so the latest sort of news on Trump, pretty fun one. A jury said that Donald Trump should pay 83
Yeah,
million in
that is
damages
the funniest shit ever, Luigi, because he keeps going to the
for
same fucking court case because he keeps defaming her.
the
Is it that
verdict
one?
was the second time over the past year that the jury has awarded Jean Carroll
Yeah, that's the
millions of
one.
dollars in damages from Trump for his defamatory statements, disparaging her and denying
Yeah.
her rape allegations.
She's so ugly. I wouldn't even rape her. Or something to that effect. It's unbelievable because, yeah, he keeps doing it. He's gonna keep getting fucking sued for defamation. I mean, if the court establishes, Donnie, that you've done it and you gotta pay damages, if you come out of the fucking courtroom and you fucking keep spewing lies about it, they're gonna take you in again, Donnie. And
They can't touch us.
I love it because it's exactly what the Joker said when an unstoppable force moves an immovable object. And we'll see what happens. He's gonna
Yeah.
keep doing it, of course. They stole it. They stole it. They stole. I
Keep
remember
saying
we
that.
had so many votes in Michigan, Wisconsin. At 2 o'clock, they changed the ball. Everybody remembers. It was so sad. It was a tragedy, Luigi.
We investigated.
It's a witch
Yeah.
hunt. It's a classic routine by now. It's a classic routine. He's gonna keep doing it even after he stops for the president. I think he's gonna do a stand-up run afterwards.
I really hope so. I mean, can you imagine if Trump was doing stand-up?
He could be the
Don't
first right-wing comedian in the world.
That's the right-wing comedian.
The first arises.
Ever.
Little Rubio.
Um,
Is anything
all right.
happening with him and Haley? We haven't had much. I hope he's cooled down on it a little bit. And then let
Well,
Haley run. Let the primary run its course, Donald.
leave Nikki alone.
So we
Excellent. So remember I was saying earlier that we have a clip of John Bolton on the news, basically. By the way, we have to some background for all of the people. John Bolton should have been at The Hague for basically inciting the Iraq war in 2003. Missed opportunities, but the fact that we still have him out on the news and we seek his very wise guidance, it's not a good look, folks. It's not a good look.
he's he's of the Henry Kissinger mold of American politicians.
Yeah, exactly. This is the guy that took the country into Iraq basically by stealth. Like he's the bureaucrat that did that.
Yeah,
And
with his band of merry friends, we should note.
yeah,
There's a couple of these fucking credits. Yeah. He doesn't, by the way, he doesn't take it back in any way. Most of the American politicians would admit that, yeah, it was a mistake, Jack. We were confused. But yeah, he's one of the few ones who doesn't criticize the decision to invade Iraq. In fact, I think his problem was that they left at one point. That was the issue, John.
yeah. That's John Bolton's problem. We didn't stay in.
And I mean the crew that was hit in the Jordanian, Iranian, in the Jordanian, Iraqi, Syrian border. What were they doing there? Does anybody know? At this point, I mean, their fealty to the fucking military-industrial complex has created a situation where, I mean, they've got fucking bases everywhere,
Bases in the middle of nowhere,
and nobody fucking
literally.
knows what they're doing at this point because obviously, what's a military-industrial complex gonna do? It's gonna make more bases. It's a fucking military-industrial complex.
I mean, you could argue that it's
This,
like wait, like if you have an empire, you're gonna have bases around the world, right? Then we can pretty much agree that the US is a superpower with sort of not really an empire in the traditional sense of conquering land, but with a lot of at least military influence around the world. I
we,
don't know.
we can call it a neo-empire, but they still use warships to patrol trade routes. I mean, obviously, it's not colonialism as it was. It's called neo. Yeah.
I mean, the US
they get,
has
yeah.
750 bases in at least 80 countries.
Maybe they went too far, dude. Maybe they went too far. Maybe they allowed too much fealty to the military-industrial complex. Because the military-industrial complex is never going to argue for less military-industrial complex.
Of course. And John Bolton is the top cheerleader of the
Yeah,
industrial
and
complex.
you've got the whole exactly. You've got the whole fucking carousel and the merry-go-round between fucking defense ministers and executive boards of these companies, of all the arms manufacturing companies, and it's a merry-go-round for them. And at this point, yeah, we've got a situation where random American troops are dying. And I mean, it's all random, obviously. It's the Middle East. Ever since the whole thing happened with Israel, I mean, attacks have fucking, I don't know, been dialed up to 11 in the Middle East.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry,
course,
Luigi. Yeah.
no. Let's hear it from the horse's mouth, as it were.
There've already been
The
150
walruses.
plus
Yeah, sorry.
attacks.
The evil walrus's mouth.
Exactly. We should not diss on all walruses.
I want to put the emphasis on the tweet by Lindsey Graham in the background.
Yeah.
Hit Iran now, hit them hard.
That it's not an asshole, Lindsay. It's not an asshole. Relax.
Plus attacks on American military and civilian personnel in Iraq and Syria. And that doesn't even take into account the Houthi rebel attacks out of Yemen onto commercial traffic in the Red Sea and against American naval vessels there. Military personnel, our military officers have been saying for some time, the only reason we haven't had a mass casualty event like this in the past few months is luck. And obviously luck ran out. If you want to establish deterrence, you don't just hit the proxies that are carrying out the attack. You carry out retaliation against the command and control authorities in Iran and some of their facilities. And just state one more point here. You don't do this in a tit for tat response. You don't say, well, they did this and we're going to do that. To reestablish deterrence, or maybe establish it in the first place, we have to impose enough pain on Iran that it outweighs what they've done to us and is sufficient for them to say, we're never going to try it again. So let's see what Biden does here.
So this is exactly how a war hawk argues for escalation with another country.
Yeah.
It's hit them and don't hit them in a proportional manner. Hit them with pretty much a crippling strike just to establish dominance.
I like
The foreign policy of establishing dominance is what John Bolton just referred to.
I like the comment by the first commenter. Why don't we send Bolton to deliver the message personally?
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that
Should we discuss this seriously? Is what Bolton is advocating for advisable? No, people, this is not advisable. Creating complete and utter fucking chaos in the Middle East is not an advisable direction.
He has a mustache and he looks like a serious person, but he's not really. I mean,
we gotta give it to him. He has a serious mustache, but that's it.
He's never seen a war he didn't like.
He's easily the most evil of all walruses. Easily.
The fact that he has been in positions of power, not in one administration under Bush, but again under Trump, is concerning.
And I love that Trump is the pissed off when this fucking guy was appointed by him in his administration. By the way, Nikki Haley was in his administration, people. Just so people remember.
Yeah. Imagine if they were doing debates.
Oh,
I brought her on. And
she begged.
She had to be UN ambassador because where else am I gonna put her?
She begged me, please, Donald, please. I was like, what the fuck? Let her do it. The UN sucks anyway.
Yeah. So
bring me a cheeseburger, Nikki. So
let's move forward. Yeah. So away from Bolton and on to European politics. So this is a very interesting article. So speaking of fascists and, far right, this article makes the argument that we've discussed a lot of times, and it's really simple. House prices have gone up. People's wages haven't gone up by the same amount. People are poorer as a result over the last, let's call it, couple of decades. And they're turning to the far right as a result.
You know how you get out of this mess? You make a pan-European economic bill of rights and you put housing in it as well.
Wow.
And you save the fucking continent.
So the argument that this guy makes is that they take Ireland as an example
and it's always the same story, it's always the same story. Affordable housing still has failed to grow.
Over the past decades, average rents across the bloc have increased by 20%, while house prices have increased by 47%. Even in seemingly prosperous countries like Germany, out of every 5 households now spends 40% of disposable income on housing. Difficulties related to housing are fueling protests across Europe, blah, blah, blah. So it's The
And
same
it's
story.
a dual, yeah, it's a dual pressure. We've got the farmers on one hand with the new climate
Mhm.
regulations, and then you've got the housing issue. And you've got the far right blaming foreigners. Wow, wow, what an idea. Brilliant. Like, how did you figure this one
An
out?
idea as old as time itself,
Yeah,
would
yeah,
say.
exactly. So, but I mean, the issues are far deeper than that. Let me tell you, just sending the foreigners out is not going to solve anything.
For sure. In any case, the title basically encapsulates the article, and it's how about we start building houses? How about we do that revolutionary thing that, we're not really doing for the population increase we've seen.
And yeah, and I think Europeans have to be a bit smarter in terms of verticality. I think we've discussed Europeans should think a bit more vertically in terms of the housing stock, as Asian countries do with far bigger populations, and the Americans as well. I mean, I'm not certain what the fucking Americans do, what are the Asians doing. And it's good enough, people.
Yeah. And yeah, what about it, George? Is the cost of living crisis gonna fuel the rise of the far right?
And the cost of living crisis is the only thing that fucking Keir Starmer is holding on for dear life on to make it to the finish line. Because I mean, the guy is literally the plainest piece of fucking empty paper anybody has ever seen before. So I mean, it's just that the Tories are bad, and to be fair, the Tories are fucking pathetic. So it might work. I
Yeah,
mean, I've
so
talked before that, Biden is gonna emphasize far more Trump's anti-democratic credentials than Kier can do with the Tories, really. But Kier, I think, is more so gonna emphasize their economic credentials, which are abysmal. However, Kier has no economic credentials, which is gonna prove a problem in the long run, even if he does gain power. Because the people handling his economics are basically Tory light.
yeah, it's a it's a it's a it's a problem all around in the UK. We're gonna get the new government, but yeah, like you alluded to, it's probably not gonna change a whole lot. They have been hammering Keir Starmer lately that Labour is planning a green investment package of
Yeah,
approximately 28 billion, and
that
they've
was
been
by
hammering
far,
him.
that was his most solid and, dare I say, whatever, visionary plan. That was
Yeah,
his
finally
most ambitious, but he's gonna scrap it now. We'll see, but it's
this year.
very likely that he's gonna roll back on it. The problem with the fucking Europeans is that they end up spending less than the Americans in the end.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
mean, you see
quite a
that the
lot.
Americans are at a critical point, whatever. The Europeans tax more and have a more redistributive social welfare system. But still, when you don't spend enough in times of crisis, they're going to go far right. And
Yeah, I
America
actually
is on a razor's edge, basically, because Biden has spent some amounts, but not enough. And we'll see what's going to happen this year. If democracy fails, Luigi, if the soul of America withers and dies. Come
yeah,
on,
so
Jack.
this is a visual representation of how much more the Americans are spending compared to Germany, right?
Oh, wow.
So
Wow.
the Germans, this was 2023, the German Supreme Court recently reinforced the fact that they have to stop running deficits, right? So this orange line is probably gonna flip positive against the government's will because Scholz has been fighting it in court. Now the Americans are still spending like drunken sailors, and that's one of the biggest reasons the US economy is so much stronger than Europe right now. So yeah, maybe how much we spend matters.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
Should we call it a day?
let's do it, good sir.
In
It's
the
been a fun.
spirit of King Charles, meeting his royal subjects, I
Meeting
bid you.
adjourned.
Me- Exactly. Meeting adjourned, motherfuckers.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Tally ho.
Sayonara.
He's a multilingual, King Charles.
He has a split personality disorder.
He's also a 42-year-old Japanese sailor. Sayonara, bitches. I'm gonna go get my salmon.
Thanks.
Anyway,
On that cheerful note, see you next week.
See you next week, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.